The Women of Mumbles Head by Clement Scott. Bring, novelist, your notebook. Bring, dramatist, your pen. And I'll tell you a simple story of what women do for men. It's only the tale of a lifeboat, of the dying and the dead, of the terrible storm and shipwreck that happened off Mumbles Head. Maybe you've travelled in Wales, sir, and know it, north and south. Maybe you're friends with the natives that dwell at Oyster Mouth. It happens, no doubt, that from Bristol you've crossed in a casual way and sailed your yacht in the summer in the blue of Swansea Bay. Well, it isn't like that in the winter when the lighthouse stands alone in the teeth of Atlantic breakers that foam on its face of stone. It wasn't like that when the hurricane blew and the storm bell toiled, or when there was news of a wreck and the lifeboat launched and a desperate cry for men. When in the world did the coxswain shirk? A brave old salt was he, proud to the bone of his 4 strong lads who had ever tasted the sea. Welshmen all, to the lungs and the loins, who about that coast was said, had saved some 100 lives apiece, and a shilling or so a head. So the father launched the lifeboat in the teeth of the tempest roar, and he stood like a man at the rudder, an eye on the boys at the oar. Out to the wreck went the father, out to the wreck went the sons, leaving the weeping of women and the booming of signal guns, leaving the mother who loved them and the girls that the sailors love, going to death for duty, trusting to God above. Did you murmur a prayer, my brothers, when cosy and safe in bed? For men like these are ready to die for a wreck off Mumbles Head. It didn't go well with the lifeboat. 'Twas a terrible storm that blew, and it snapped the rope in a second that was flung to the drowning crew. And then the anchor parted. 'Twas a tussle to keep afloat, but the father stuck to the rudder and the boys to the brave old boat. Then at last the poor doomed lifeboat a wave broke mountain high. God help us now, said the father. It's over, my lads. Goodbye. Half the crew swam shoreward, half to their sheltered caves, but father and sons were fighting death in the foam of the angry waves. Up at the lighthouse window, 2 women beheld the storm, and they saw in the boiling breakers a figure, a fighting form. It might be a grey-haired father. Then the women held their breath. It might be a fair-haired brother who was having a round with death. It might be a lover, a husband, whose kisses were on the lips of the women whose love is the life of men going down to the sea in ships. They had seen the launch of the lifeboat, and they had seen the worst and more. Then, kissing each other, these women went down for the lighthouse, straight to shore. There by the rocks, on the breakers, these sisters, hand in hand, beheld once more that desperate man who struggled to reach the land. 'Twas only aid he wanted to help him across the wave. But what are a couple of women if only a man to save? What are a couple of women? Well, more than 3 craven men, who stood by the shore with chattering teeth, refusing to stir, and then off went the women's shawls, sir, and in a second they're torn and rent, then knotting them into a rope of love. Straight into the sea they went. Come back, cried the lighthouse keeper. For God's sake, girls, come back, as they caught the waves on their foreheads, resisting the fierce attack. Come back, moaned the grey-haired mother as she stood by the angry sea. If the waves take you, my darlings, there's nobody left to me. Come back, said the very strong soldiers, who stood faint and pale. You'll drown if you face the breakers. You'll fail if you brave the gale. Come back, said the girls. We will not. Go tell it to all the town. We'll lose our lives, God willing, before that man shall drown. Give one more knot to the shore, Bess. Give one more strong clutch of your hand. Just follow me brave to the shingle and we'll bring him safe to land. Wait for the next wave, darling. Only a minute more. We'll have him safe in my arms, dear, and we'll drag him to the shore. Up to the arms in the water, fighting it breast to breast. They caught, saved a brother alive. God bless them, you know the rest. Well, many a heart beat stronger, and many a tear was shed, and many a glass was tossed right off to the women of Mumbles Head.